You are listening to Unequaled with Jaycee Carroll and Ajay Salveson. But first, our friends, the Painted Roses.
Hi, this is Karen Nielsen with Guild Mortgage in Logan, Utah. Beyond great rates, we're committed to ongoing customer service even after your loan closes. We want you to experience knowledge, communication, and amazing customer service for a lasting relationship. Make Guild Mortgage your trusted partner.
Hi, welcome to another edition of the Unequaled podcast. Thanks for joining us, however, wherever you're doing. So big thanks to our sponsors who have helped this podcast and to the Painted Roses and their wonderful talent and music welcoming us in. Jaycee Carroll, I'm Ajay Salveson, Aggie Hall of Famer here. This podcast relates more to Jaycee than it does to me because of who we're speaking with. Jaycee, one of the best to ever do it. We talked about it ad nauseum, and I think he's sick of hearing it, but he's going to hear it over and over and over and over again. But Jaycee, we got a great guest on here, a guy who has got to know you a little bit and has found out your elite status here at Utah State because of your great accomplishments, and excited to have him on.
Yeah, we're really excited. Obviously, here at Utah State, basketball is a priority. It's king in my opinion. We're a basketball school, and we have Coach Calhoun on, the new men's basketball coach. Really excited to have him here. So, hey, thanks for taking the time. We know you're really busy, moving to a new city and all that, and we're really grateful to steal a few minutes of your time. Well, guys, first of all, really excited to be on here with you. I think it's an honor to be the coach here. I kind of agree with you, Jaycee, that how important basketball is, but I'll let you say that because I think all sports are really important.
Yeah.
But, no, guys, I'm ready to talk and happy to be on here today.
What's Logan like for you? You enjoying it here? What's the town? You been able to scout the town a little bit at all?
Yeah, we've been out every night. I've probably gained about 22 pounds, so I'm starting 2-a-days this week, Jaycee. I've had enough not fitting in my pants, so it's been awesome. My staff and I have got really close because we're staying in an Airbnb. We're currently down in North Logan, sleeping in a basement with one bathroom. So it's been a lot of fun. We've watched a ton of tape and met a ton of people, whether at lunch or dinner or around town.
Well, good. So with that, you mentioned staff. Are you fully staffed? Or are you still a few positions to fill, or are you fully staffed?
We are one stop away from finishing it off. Hired my last guy yesterday, a guy by the name of Eric Hout. He was a member of Kent State's Elite 18, the team that ended up losing to Indiana in the Elite 8. Eric was a great player, was at Kent State as an associate head coach and also at Northern Kentucky. So you'll appreciate this, Jaycee, team that we can never beat, team that we struggled against mightily to score.
Yeah.
Something my teams historically have done well. Mm-hmm. He ran their defense.
Okay.
So we got him to come here to Utah State. I'm really excited about him. Mantorius Robinson will also help with the defense. He was a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year at Winthrop University.
Great.
He went to 4 NCAA tournaments in 4 years, so a great career. Brought Paul Molinari from Youngstown as our chief of staff. Paul coached me. He learned under legendary Raleigh Massimino.
Okay.
Retained Eric Brown. EB was with Coach Sprinkle, and he's done a phenomenal job with getting all the former players back, and he's been great. Eric Daniels from Weber State has done a phenomenal job. Was at Utah Valley with Coach Pope and at Weber State. A lot of connections here, and has helped us land a lot of guys here of late, as you see a lot of Utah guys.
Yeah.
And then Ben Asher. Ben Asher came with me from Youngstown. He was a manager on our Final Four team at West Virginia. So the last position we're looking for, Jaycee, is an analytical guy that will do a lot of our video work. So sorry to rant about our guys, but I'm excited about it.
That's good. I think it's important. As we mentioned, we had Con Smith on. Well, he's still to come out, but he was a big part of Coach Bobby Knight's stuff at Indiana, and I think any good head coach understands the value that his assistants, that his staff adds. So I think that's great that you found some defensive guys. I would not be the guy to help you with that.
You're more of a pledge
and I wouldn't have much interest in being that guy anyway. But I'm glad you found some guys that hung their hand on defense, defensive player of the years, those kinds of things. That's That's tough. That's good. That shows grit. That shows toughness. And can't see. Talk about Coach Morrill. He had for years a guy named Randy Ray. Oh, he kind of ran his defensive stuff, and he couldn't say enough about his assistants.
Coach, what is the process like of choosing your staff? Like, I can only imagine when they announced it that you're going to be the new head coach. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Your phone's just going off. You have to hear text messages. Hey, would love to join you. What was that process like of choosing your staff?
Yeah, well, actually, it was about 900 text messages. So when I accepted the job, I got on a plane in Minnesota to go back to Pittsburgh. I just talked to my wife. I just talked to Joe Mazzulla, and I just talked to Diana. And I landed at 11 o'clock to about 900 text messages. It's anytime Woj from the NBA picks up on a story with his following, I think it's like 5 million people. Everything got very, very chaotic. But, I wanted to identify guys that have motors. I work a lot of hours. I want guys that want to be head coaches. I want guys that really can build great relationships with our players and are very well-rounded, right? So I wanted the last spot with Eric, I really wanted a guy that could really take ownership of the defense. And I have studied that defense for years. It's a matchup zone with some man principles inside of it. So it becomes very, very chaotic on the other coach. So, yeah, a lot of people reached out. I heard from every head coach in America. But at the end of the day, you got to prioritize what you want. You got to have a plan. And I think we were able to accomplish that.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. That's cool. And, I've been following from a distance, but we have seen that you have a lot of players coming back, retained a lot of players, and some new signings. You want to talk about some of the new players you signed?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're allowed to talk about them.
I don't know. So,
yeah, and you tell me, JC, that's one thing I don't know about, but I can generalize these guys, so we're safe. Let's talk about the returning guys.
Perfect.
Because certainly can do that. I think Mason has done a phenomenal job, in Ian and Fish, and these guys that have come back, really welcoming our staff, right? First and foremost, I think the relationship was sped up because these kids are so willing to get to know us and we were willing to know them. And then as we brought all these players in on visits, we pretty much batted about 75%, 80% of the kids we brought in. And it's not just from a recruiting pitch, style of play, our vision for them. I think it really speaks volumes to you guys. And one of the things that I like to do when if you come to a program is to learn about the history. And Coach Molinari the other night joked about we should add one more guy to our staff, a shooting coach, and Jaycee Carroll, because we got too few guys that need to tweak their jumper.
There I can add value. I can add value there.
Yeah. So the roster is very, very deep. I think we're very skilled. To me, JC, basketball is a game of possession. So what we try to do is, if you look at the NBA and the way they play on a 24-second shot clock, right? If you look at the Boston Celtics, their average possession length is about 17. My teams have been about 17.5, and we play on a 35-second shot, or a 30-second shot clock. So I think it should be 24. I think, where you played, I think it teaches players how to play fast, get into things, but we're going to have a lot of possessions. So we're going to play some guys. I think we're certainly going to play a deep bench, and we want guys that are skilled and know how to play.
Good. Yeah, talking about some of the guys that did come back. Mason, people love him around here. He's a local kid. We've had him as a guest. Great kid. He's out in the community doing things. Fisher, he was on. Isaac Johnson, Fish was on. He same idea. He's happy to be here. Wants to be here. He's excited about it. He spoke about it very highly. Ball, and they're like, hey, we're excited for the new start, new staff. And then I thought Ian Martinez came on really strong last year. Was very talented. So definitely excited to see what that looks like moving forward.
JC, another guy I think is Carson Tenford. He's a guy that not a lot of people talk about.
Yeah.
I think of the 31 games he played in 23 or 24, he's about a 6'6", 6'7", very versatile forward. That's a great athlete, high motor, getting a little bit of foul trouble last year.
Yeah.
But I think he's another guy that can provide a lot of value. I think Fish in our offense, he's a bit of stretch to the defense, right? We play a lot of 5-out concepts. So, you got to manipulate that low man, right? So if you have a big that's constantly just kind of clogging it up,
we'll use fish in different variety of, screening actions and just spacing concepts. So I think Carson gives us some versatility. And then I think Mason, his ability to get downhill and live in the paint, finish right, finish left. He's explosive in transition. And Ian Martinez, as you said, I mean, he's kind of a 3-level guy. He can make off-the-bounce threes, catch and shoot threes. He can get downhill. You can play him at ball screens. You can play him off ball. I love his versatility.
Coach, can I ask, with Great Osterboard, he, of course, hit the portal. Did you have a chance to have a conversation with him? And I know you don't want to go into detail, but what was that conversation like before he decided to move on?
Yeah, I mean, I actually just texted him today. I said, hey, great. Just want to let you know I'm here for you. I think he's getting very close to making his decision. I obviously want him to stay at Logan and be the 2-time Mount West Player of the Year, but we'll have to see what happens. One thing that I really liked about Great was his honesty and kind of what he was looking for. We did a whole breakdown of his game. We presented to him how we play. And he told me, he said, Coach, this is the greatest presentation on basketball I've ever seen. And what we do is we literally break it down from every level of basketball, right? From his post-ups to his ISOs to his decision-making to his growth, right? Like, how's he going to grow as a player? I think, Great's best basketball ahead of him. I think he's a 5'4" at 6'8". I think he's got some abilities that a lot of guys, he's a hard guard. So he would fit great in our system. What he's going to do, I don't know, and we'll have to see.
Yeah, it's great. And you've kind of touched on it. It sounds like, what kind of style of basketball should we expect? It sounds like, high reps, high shot, or a lot of shot attempts, those kinds of high tempo. Is that kind of what we'll see?
Yeah, I think, JC, obviously with your experience with Real Madrid, first and foremost, I don't know if the general fan of basketball understands what level that is, right? That is a high level. So what you're able to do over there is, to me, is incredible. So I watch a lot of EuroLeague basketball, and I have a ton of players playing over there. I would say it's very similar to how you played, right? There's a wide variety of dribble handoffs out of the post, misdirection, high level of ball screen actions, spacing concepts, opening the floor, and getting 5 guys that really know how to play well together, and that are connected. And, my whole offense is find, create, and keep the advantage, right? Find the advantage, create that, get 2-on-1 in the pick and rolls, and then let's move it and get a high percentage shot. And, I think, obviously living at the free throw line, JC, is critical.
Yeah.
Getting to the rim, finishing around the basket is critical. And then taking and making at least, I think at least 10 threes a game is critical in today's game if you're going to get to 83, 84 points a game. Where teams get in trouble, to me, is they rely so much on the mid-range 2, which is a low percentage shot. It's going to be in our package, but we want to make sure our guys understand it's not a high percentage shot. So I love offense. I study it. Got a lot of it from Coach Mazzulla at Celtics, and we want to keep getting better at it.
Coach, I got to ask, have you learned to play dribble yet, though?
What is dribble?
You are going to learn dribble, and you are going to run that at the very first play of the season because every other coach has done it. It's a tradition.
Listen, I'm sure he knows what it is, probably by a different name. But Coach Morrill, this is a Coach Morrill play.
Okay.
Dribble right, dribble left. It's you dribble the corner, you hit the corner. The guard goes through, strings across the block for the big man. It's to pass it to the big man. It's Boise State ran a first play when they named the court after Coach Morrill this year. Of course they have Coach Dury on the staff that was up here.
Coach Sprinkle, all ran that play.
Anyway, it's a coach. I can draw it up before we leave.
Do not let you run.
Yeah.
Do not let the guard shoot the ball. If the guard shoots the ball, the play was
How
wrong.
about we had JC draw it up? First game here this year, our coaching staff here, this team's year, we'll have JC draw it up in the shoot-around.
We'll do it. So that's dribble. Dribble right, dribble left is anytime we need a bucket, that's the go-to.
So I like it. I like it.
Coach, with this roster the way it's been assembled, just tell me your itch to be able to get going with these guys and how excited you are to be coaching here at Utah State and get on the Spectrum floor and get on the Stu Morrill court inside the Spectrum and get these guys working.
Yeah, there's only so many meals you can eat at Lanone and all the great restaurants here. We have attacked this portal, I think really, really good.
Yeah,
We did a great job of retaining players, great job of adding them, but ultimately that means nothing, right? In the game of basketball, you have to have cohesion. You have to put in the time together. You have to go through the struggle. You got to implement the system. That's really why we're here, right? So it's going to start June 17th. Cannot wait to get on the floor with these guys. Really, really itching to dive into basketball. I talk with a lot of guys in the NBA and the G League and overseas. Nowadays in college basketball, about 25% of your job is basketball.
Yeah.
75 is fundraising, is being out in the community, academics. You don't realize how much time you spend away from just not basketball.
Yeah.
So we're close to being able to just do basketball, right? We got to get our schedule done. But it's going to be exciting implementing this system. And then we get to go to Europe this summer we're going to Italy and we're going to go to Croatia, play 3 games. I think it's at the perfect time for this group.
That'd be great. Those international trips are usually a good time to bond. And the basketball, I think the basketball that you end up playing there it could be great. It could be less than great, but it's the experience of getting kids out of the country, getting cultural experience, being together as a team.
Did you go on a couple of those, Jay?
No, we never did.
Really?
No, we never did. I never got to experience that. I've seen them do it since.
I don't think any coach or any face done one of those.
Coach Duray staff did one.
Yeah, I think they went on one.
Yeah, they did one. And that was something, it was important to him. He wanted to make sure that every player that came to the program had that experience. So Italy, where in Italy are you going?
Yeah, we're going to go to Rome.
Okay.
We're going to start in Rome, then finish in Croatia. I believe the plan is to play 2 in Italy, 1 in Croatia. So this will be about my 4th trip. Been in Italy before. It's just kind of the timing, JC, as you know. I don't know when you had to report back, but we'll get hopefully some pro guys and get some good games. I'm all for playing good games. I mean, like you said, it could be hit or miss.
Yeah, nope, I think you will. What time of year are you going to be there?
We're going to go August 9th through the 19th.
Yeah, you'll start to get everyone back. And depending on the teams you're playing, they'll be good games. Those kids over there, like they're players. You'll get some of the kind of grown men as well that your kids will have to play against. But it'll be fun, man. Like, it'll be fun. Rome. My first year was in Italy, overseas, a couple hours from Rome. So, sounds like you've already been there. But man,
who was the best guy you played against over there
in Rome or
in general?
In general. All right. So, well, look, Ricky Rubio was in our league. I played with Pau Gasol against him when he went back for his last year. On my team, I had Luka Doncic, Rudy Fernandez, probably one of the.
I loved Rudy.
And he was so naturally gifted. Him and Luka were the only 2 individuals I ever played with that were just so naturally gifted.
How old was Luka when you played with?
So I first met Luka when he was 11. He was in the Real Madrid youth program coming up, and then he stepped on our team, and it was fun. Luka was fun because at 15 he was on this end of the bench, and he get like garbage minutes. 3 years later, he was over here, and he was EuroLeague MVP.
Wow.
Like, his progression was just astronomical. Mm-hmm. I had Andres Nocioni on my team, and he was so fun. That dude was a fighter, and he would always just say, look, Luka, he was touched with the magic wand. And he just was. He was that guy. Facundo Campasso, who spent a little bit of time in the with Denver a couple years ago. He was on my team as well. So I was lucky. I played with a lot of good players that helped make me look good. Sergio Rodriguez. I played with 76ers, some other places.
Yes. Yeah, we were there last year in Spain, so we spent some time over there. Unbelievable basketball.
Yeah, Spain's great. Final Four's coming up to the EuroLeague. Madrid's there. Fenerbahce from Istanbul.
Yep.
And then you've got Panathinaikos and Olympiacos.
Yeah,
2 Greek teams.
Yeah, those Greek teams sure could.
It's going to be, as far as basketball, as you mentioned, like, people don't understand, and I didn't either before I went over there. Like, we have so much sports and basketball here in the States, we don't really have to look beyond our borders, but if you ever want to go to an awesome weekend of basketball,
it's the Final Four for the EuroLeague.
What's the biggest difference for both you, Coach, and JC? Like the biggest difference between American basketball and Europe basketball? What stands out to you guys the most in differences?
Oh, I think it's a totally different game. I think as you're seeing the NBA evolve, you're seeing the European game all over the NBA, right? If you look right now with what Luka's been able to do, what Giannis has been able to do, Jamal Murray from Canada. We talked about it last night with a recruit. Can you imagine this, JC? If we took, how many people would watch this? If we took the world, right? Yeah. People from all over the world, those couple of those players, there was two or three others versus USA, with what we're seeing by these young USA players. Yeah, right. It's amazing, kind of where the NBA is right now. You've kind of got the world. These young guys, these European guys have just been awesome. You look at Joker, 3-time MVP. I think it'd be incredible. But JC played it. I've watched it. We study European basketball probably as much as we do the NBA. The NBA is, really about finding the mismatch. They certainly run other good stuff, but I just think the ball movement in Europe is awesome.
It is. The ball movement is elite. The strategy that goes into it, and it's a little bit because of how much we're able to practice over there. It's very. It's 10 months of basketball. And some of those, if you don't play in the EuroLeague and your domestic league, you're playing 36 games in 10 months. So you're putting a lot of practice in. There's a lot of opportunities for coaches to put in sets, to put in schemes. And that's just very different. Now, if you're playing at Real Madrid or Barcelona, these Olympiacos, you're playing 85 games a year. Yeah. Like you're playing games, and you just have to be able to be at that level anyway. But it's a smart, high-level basketball. If you look at the last, 4 MVPs, they're European players.
Yeah.
Jokic 3 and Antetokounmpo, and before that, I don't know who it was. But Luka's, he's going to be
in the top 3 almost every
top
year.
3 since he came over.
It was incredible.
It's been close. It's been.
He's going to get one too. He's right there at that end of the bridge.
So it really is. I think I saw a statistic. It's like 30% European or non-domestic players in the NBA nowadays.
Pretty neat. Coach, tell us about your coaching journey. Like where you started in the coaching world and how you got there and how you find yourself to Utah State.
Yeah, kind of an unconventional path. I started off as a student manager at Cleveland State for Raleigh Massimino. I was a really, really bad student, so I did not qualify. Just being very, very honest here on this podcast. So love it. All our listeners, one thing they'll realize about Coach Calhoun is kind of an honest guy. But so I was an academic ineligible to accept a scholarship at the D1 level because of my test score. I really struggled taking the ACT at that time. Now there's not even a test anymore. So
I remember taking it. Like I knew the number.
Yeah,
I had to get that number.
What'd you get? You got higher than me.
I failed.
I got the number. I'm not saying it was much more than that. I think the number was a 17.
No, you had 18.
18 you had to have.
I got 15 on my ACT.
I think
so there we go. We're similar.
Yeah. So there you go. Like I walked out, I got the number. I was like, I'm going to college. Yeah, let's go.
When I did get the number in the mail, I was distraught. And I met Coach Massimino at Cleveland State. So I started off as a manager, then a walk-on, and then a scholarship guy. And then they unfortunately got let go at Cleveland State. I was coaching an AAU team, and I had some really good players. Bob Huggins, was the head coach at Cincinnati.
What year was this? Sorry, Coach.
This was back in 2000 to 2003.
Okay.
So I went to Cincinnati as a student assistant, and I'll never forget walking into the first game and seeing 13,000 fans. We had 4 NBA players on the roster, and I was a student assistant. I was just mesmerized by what a city and a basketball team, how they were so into it. And there was a guy by the name of Dan Peters on that staff. He was a Youngstown State coach for years. He was Coach Huggins' assistant. He got me the assistant job at Walsh University, which was an NAI school. I was 23. First year there, I bring a kid by the name of Robert Whaley. His son's now playing at UNLV. Comes over for one season, and we win an NAI national championship, and he gets drafted by the Utah Jazz. He's one of the last Division II guys to get drafted. So my first year in coaching, I brought the National Player of the Year with me. I thought, oh, man, this is easy. We're going to win every year. And then, so I was there 3 years. And then Coach Huggins, I was fortunate enough to go to West Virginia. And we had 5 straight NCAA tournaments. Our first year, we went 10-8 in the Big East. So we just kind of were building it. We were okay. And then we just really clicked. We had a kid by the name of Joe Alexander, got drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks.
Joe, he's been in Maccabi Tel Aviv playing.
For a long time.
Yeah, so I think he almost has made his life there.
Yes, loves it there.
Yeah.
Loves it there. So he took us to the Sweet 16. Second year, we go out, we lose to Dayton, out of Minnesota. Our travel was a mess, and we just had a bad draw. We played Dayton in the first round, lost. Year 3, we come back and go to the Final Four. We ended up beating Kentucky. You were probably playing, so I don't know if you remember this team, but they had 6 guys drafted in the first round. We beat that team.
Yeah.
Right? So DeMarcus Cousins, John Wall.
Was Cat on that team?
Yeah, no, Cat came later.
Okay.
But it was the only time ever, I think, in the history of the NBA they had 6 first round.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, we beat them.
Team
We played a 1-3-1 zone that Calipari obviously wasn't ready for. It's crazy. And we beat them, and then we ended up losing to Duke in the Final Four. So then I was there for 5 years, and then really took a leap of faith. Really took an unconventional path, leaving a Big East to take a Division II job. Got to Fairmont State, which was about 25 minutes south of where West Virginia's campus is. And they had great tradition. It just needed a bolt of energy. First year, we win 23 games or 22 games, go to the NCAA tournament. We get this whole city behind us. We built a locker room. We built a theater room. I can remember my mom spray painting the ceiling and me coming with a sledgehammer, breaking the lockers in the locker room because we had no money. So we just had to figure it out. It was a family affair in Fairmont. I mean, it was a crazy ordeal, but we really got it going there. Played for a national championship, and then day after that, I got named the head coach at Youngstown State, which was a program I always thought had great potential. But for 50 years, guys, they just couldn't build any momentum.
Right.
It was a football school, right?
Yeah.
So Jim Tressel was there. He won 4 national titles. So we had a great run. And then now, of course, I'm here, and it's kind of a wild story. I've been at a lot of different levels. I have great admiration for student managers, for director of ops, for administrators, for guys like yourself. Like, one thing that I've realized in life is you got to treat people with respect. Everybody's got a job to do, and if we're all going in the same direction, we got a great chance to be successful. And I think that's why I've been able to have that.
Hey, you looking for something fun to do this summer? How about you go to Bridgeland Adventure Park, located in Garden City, Utah. Bridgeland Adventure Park has all sorts of adventures from ages 2 to 92. A 4-levels ropes course with 73 events, a giant swing, a 450-foot long zip line, or get on a tube and head down the 350-foot slide. They're also accepting business corporate groups. You and your office want to get out of the daily grind? Sick of staring at your computer for 8 hours a day? Well, bring the company over to Bridgeland Adventure Park. Enjoy some delicious food, a snow cone, a fun time with your coworkers, and lasting memories. Bridgeland Adventure Park is located at 722 South First Light Drive in Garden City, Utah. For more information and questions, go to blap.rocks. That's BLAP.rocks.
Absolutely. Cincinnati, were you there those years with Kenyon Martin?
I was not, JC, but I heard a lot of those stories, and I really believe they would have been the national champs that year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't Kenny Martin break his leg?
Yes. What year did you graduate?
I graduated 08.
Okay. So you're about 8 years behind those guys.
Yeah, behind those guys. But your West Virginia years with Mike Gantz.
Yeah, we're right there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of, I remember those guys, Joe Alexander.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Great players.
I kind of watched him see where he'd be drafted, and then he came up over in Europe, and he reached out a few months ago about a speaking opportunity and stuff like that.
Really?
I could come to. So
Wow.
So yeah, Joe Alexander, I definitely, he's on my radar.
Small world.
Yeah, small world.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But that's really cool. Coach Huggins, I got a chance as a kid to go listen to him speak, do a coach's presentation. I thought it was great. What'd you learn? What'd you like about Coach Huggins? What makes him, a good coach? What makes him unique?
Any good stories?
Yeah, I give you a couple good stories. What makes Bob Huggins really a good coach? He's not a good coach. I think he's a great coach. I don't get in the Hall of Fame, win 900 games, and right what he did, unless you're fantastic. But he had an unbelievable work ethic, unbelievable desire to be great, and that rubbed off on everybody. Yeah. So you didn't want to let him down as an assistant, but I think what he did as a head coach, you look at his tree nobody talks about. Yeah, so you look at his tree, there's not been one guy leave his tree and not be successful. Brad Underwood, head coach in Illinois, Mick Cronin, UCLA. Andy Kennedy, UAB, just come off 4 years of about 30 wins a year. Frank Martin took South Carolina to a Final Four, right now at UMass. So he allowed his guys to coach, JC, and it was a loyalty and a togetherness with his staffs that I haven't seen. Best defensive coach I think I've ever been around. Demanding, but when he walked in a room, he had an aura about him, that I've never seen. In the Cincinnati area, it was him, Pete Rose, and Oscar Roberts. Those guys walked into a restaurant or the mall or a high school basketball game. It was like a rock star walked in. I mean, he was a big deal.
No, I believe it. You talk about the work ethic of coaches, and you say you guys put a lot of hours. Help me understand what a day-to-day or a week looks like for you and your staff here.
Good question. Depends on the time of year. Let's talk about portal season, right? So
Perfect.
We could really talk about coming to Utah State, right? Within the first couple days, what you're trying to do is obviously you're fielding the calls for all the staff members. You have a plan in your head that you're trying to conquer and get these certain guys to come to your staff, but you got to make it work, right? Financially, what the staff dynamics looks like. But to me, JC, the most important thing is the players, right?
Yeah.
The players in your program that just won 28 games, a Mountain West regular season title, a first-round game. I wanted to make sure that I had a vision for each one of those guys. They're all different, right? Your story, to me, is probably the greatest story in Aggie history. From a guy that was not highly recruited to a guy that's the all-time leading sport to a guy that's 12 years of Real Madrid, one of the greatest players in the EuroLeague. You got to get to know people's story. Right?
Yeah.
So I did that with all the returning guys. And then, we probably worked, I would say, at least 14, 15, 16-hour days, right? From sun up to sundown. Jerry Bovey has been awesome. Diana is a rock star. I think we're very, very fortunate to have her vision and what she wants this place to look like on a daily basis. You just grind, as you know, you're a very successful guy, and I think there's no substitution for hard work. Scheduling has been very difficult, so we're working on the schedule right now.
Yeah.
We need 9 games, JC. That's an idea.
So
Convince people to come play at the Spectrum.
You don't. Nobody comes. I think it's going to be hard. I think it's going to be the hardest thing. I feel good about the roster.
Yeah.
I feel good about the staff. It's going to be difficult. I'm nervous about the schedule. Yeah.
Do you have an NTE or
We have not solidified that, so we're looking at Jacksonville, Power 5 opponent there. We're looking at some neutral site games. We want to play probably 2 neutral site games, whether it's California. Definitely want to do the Delta Center.
Yeah.
I thought last year was awesome. We'll watch that game. What an experience. I think our brand right now, I think it's the biggest brand in the state, quite honestly. I think the Aggies, what they just did and what you guys have done and the coaches and the players, it's a big deal. So we're a national brand right now. Yeah, how are we capable of landing most of the recruits we brought in? We sell the history, right? I really study the history. So I've tried to meet with all the former players. We're going to do a Zoom in 2 weeks. We're getting every former player that we have addresses or phone numbers on. JC's going to talk. You're going to help me lead it. We're going to try to get Coach Morrill on there. We're hoping he can, use that internet. He said, Coach, I'm not going to hit that. I'm going to get my wife.
So he would say,
So I just think you got to work, guys.
No, good. You mentioned national brand, and I was able to see it personally. I took a few of the players. We went down to a Jazz game. We had a suite, and the number of people that would walk by and be like, hey, and want to take pictures with those guys. I mean, it caught my attention. I was like, holy cow. These guys are, they're known through here. People are following the Aggies, they're following Utah State. They like to see those things.
JC, question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think your NIL evaluation would have been your senior year? What would you have demanded to stay in Logan?
Can you answer
that?
No.
Oh, man. That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know. It's
and what's your thoughts on the current landscape of basketball with the portal? Kind of what's going on with the NIL.
I think players do need to enter the portal. I think they need to kind of see what their value is. It's just what it is. They need to enter it. They need to see what opportunities come out, especially when coaches do leave.
the one thing that changed a lot when I was playing, players were committed. I don't want to use the word stuck, but we were stuck with our first decision. I don't think that's all bad, because we had to learn to get better. We had to learn to overcome. We had to learn to persevere. We had to sacrifice. We had to go through the freshman years when, hey, maybe you're redshirting, maybe you're sitting on the end of the bench. And so it created players that could rise to the top. The only bad thing was that when they did go there with the coach and with the staff, and then that coach could leave, and the players just kind of left with whoever came. So I think that the portal has opened up the opportunity for players to explore if their coaches leave and be able to see what else is out there.
Do you like the unlimited number of transfers? Do you think?
No, I think it still needs to be limited. I don't love the idea of players jumping every year and going somewhere. I talked to a lot of my former teammates that we played with here, and we talked, hey, how much money could we have made? What was this? And the comment that a lot of us have are, the amount of time we spent in the community, the reputation they were able to build, and I don't want to use the word fan base, but the relationships we were able to build by staying at Utah State and being at a place for 4 years or 5 years for some of my teammates, has come back to us monetarily with relationships, tenfold, because we became a part of the community. We were in it. And Utah State is a unique place that they had players come through. I mean, you and I talked about it a little bit. When I was here, I did over 125 speaking engagements in my time here. I mean, I was in the community. I was speaking to groups of 300 people. I was speaking to groups of 10 people. I was in the mountains over here in Mendon, and I was out in Lewiston. I drove up to Idaho. I drove out to Bear Lake to speak to youth and share my story and motivate. So those things helped us not only bring fans in, but the community could connect to us, and they wanted to watch us.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. About 3 years ago, I got on a committee for the NIL, so I tried to understand it. Yeah, hey, where are we headed? And I can remember when it first broke, I told my wife, I'm done. Retire. I'm going to go do something. I didn't know what I was going to do.
I've had other coaches that I've come across that they were done.
Yeah, and now I love it. I think it should be a one-time transfer. I think you should be able to transfer as many times as you want.
Yeah,
but after one, you should have to sit. And I think that would keep. I'd agree with that. A little more consistency, but I kind of agree with you. I like the one-time transfer.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you're able to build something more. Fan bases can relate, and it teaches kids because it's hard. If they have a bad year, well, I'm going to leave and go somewhere else. If they have a good year, well, I'm going to leave and go somewhere. It just is like, well, if you have a bad year, let's figure out why. Let's get better. Let's make our weaknesses strengths and improve.
But I do think, JC, here, what I love about this job, and I don't know how fans took it or not, but I truly believe you win a national championship. I don't say things that I don't think you can. I don't make things up. I truly believe that in my heart, because we're going to get kids here for multiple years, right? I think that the uniform means something to our players. Where I think a lot of the college basketball right now, it's more about themselves than the team. So I feel like here we have a unique opportunity with the returning guys. Mm-hmm. And keep building on those guys and then add a few guys each year.
Former Skyview quarterback and Utah State football walk-on Ted Stokes has established the #1 bankruptcy law firm in the state of Utah. Stokes Law's playbook is helping individuals and businesses overcome tough financial situations. If you're facing garnishment, repossession, foreclosure, or just overwhelming debt, give Stokes Law a call at 435-213-4771 or visit their website, stokesbankruptcy.com. Stokes Law is a debt relief agency and provides guidance under the United States Bankruptcy Code.
Coach Morrill once said, behind every great head coach is a better head coach's wife, because in the end, she was the head coach the whole time. Can I just ask about your wife, how you guys met, the family support?
I love that. Hopefully she'll listen to this podcast. So my wife she's only been here 2 days. I got to see them last weekend, first time, I think 31 days. So back home, I've got a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 22-year-old.
So my wife, Sarah, has been unbelievable. I met her when I was at West Virginia. So she's actually a graduate of the school. I ended up accepting a job of at Fairmont State. It was really weird. We met in West Virginia. So the Fairmont State job opened up, and she had went to school there, so I asked her all about it. But we will be going on 13 years of marriage here. Coaching wise, it's very difficult. I don't know if the fan understands that, right? And as JC said, even with things he's doing, outside of coaching and being in this building, if you really want to run a good program, you have to get in the community, right? So there's many nights where I'm speaking or I'm recruiting, seeing somebody else's kid play, where I'm not seeing my own child play. So everybody's got to be on board with kind of the plan. One thing that I've gotten better at over time, I think the first 5 years I didn't know anybody else's name other than basketball. I was just accepted with the round, obsessed with the round ball.
Yeah.
And I told this story to somebody the other day that I was speaking to. I was in severe burnout after year 2. I wasn't going to make it in basketball. I was spiraling out of control, and Joe Mazzulla left a book on my desk called Lead for God's Sake. And a guy texts me all the time, probably about once a month. And he always texts me after we lose, Lead for God's Sake. And it's kind of an inside joke. But it's a book about a crazed high school basketball coach that all he obsessed with was winning, and he didn't really understand the value of relationships and family, and there's more life than the round ball. And I think I've done a really much better job of that. My wife has said that in the last 4 years. Really, really have matured and understood. The family should be number one. There's no doubt about it. You've got your immediate family, your basketball families after your immediate family. And it took me a number of years to realize that. And Coach Mazzulla helped really change my outlook on life with that book. You never know what a good book can do for you.
That's great. Yeah. And people don't see that, don't understand it. Even when I was playing, I was on the road and I just thought my wife was into it. And we got to a spot where she's kind of like, hey, this hasn't been easy on me. And kudos to your wife understanding it. We hope that your family loves Cache Valley.
Amen.
Obviously,
well, the first stop, JC, just so you know, I know you said this last week.
Yeah.
I've already promised to see all your animals in your house. So
yeah, please do.
I got them fired up last week when I was home. I said, I met a great guy.
Yeah.
Invite us over, so we're going to take you up.
Please do. We got a bunch of baby lambs right now.
Yeah, I was explaining that, how rare they are.
The world. I got my horses getting tuned up so we can take less experienced riders without having an incident.
I'm not getting on it, but
there you go.
The girls you can help out with.
One other thing I was thinking about is we do have I talk to a lot of young people and young athletes and people that their parents a lot of times be like, JC, tell my kid what he has to do to play college basketball. And the conversation usually goes like this: great, you want to play? He goes, yeah. Cool, what'd you do yesterday? Or what'd you do today for basketball? What do you mean? It's not basketball season. What did you do yesterday? I go, well, right there's the problem. If you want to do it, you have to do it. So what advice would you have for somebody that wants to play college athletics? Like, what does that look like? What age do they have to start getting serious about it?
I think everybody develops at different ages, JC, right? I think as a parent, we have to be very, very careful to push things on our kids. I think we got to be there supportive, but I don't know how you grew up in your journey, but in my journey, if we needed to shovel snow, I was going to shoot. If I had to put on a rain jacket, I was going to shoot. So me and a guy by the name of Maverick Carter, he's now running basically LeBron's empire. So we were in the 5th grade. He was in Akron. I was in Cleveland. We both lived with our moms. There was a park in Akron that we would play on, and there was a park in Barberton, Ohio, right outside of Akron, and then Cleveland eventually. We just played it all day long. That's the only thing I knew. If I wasn't playing, I was jumping rope. I was doing push-ups. I don't know if you ever wore the shoes that had the high toes.
I know,
right?
We had some that you could actually strap onto your own shoes.
Yeah. So any gadget we thought that could get us better and get us to the NBA, we were going to do. But I think nowadays with so many trainers, everybody has a trainer. To me, you gotta do the skill work. There's no doubt about it. You gotta make sure that the skill guy knows what they're talking about.
Right.
To me, I think the high school game is suffering because we're running too many plays. Gotcha. We got to teach guys concepts. You can play out a concept.
Yeah.
I love that we have a shot clock here in Utah.
Yeah.
We don't have it in Ohio.
No, it's unbelievably.
You got to have a shot clock.
Yeah.
So I think AAU basketball is important because I think after you do your school and after you do your skill work, you got to go see what's out there in the country, right? You got to travel around and play some good players.
You do. I'm getting into the AAU stuff with my daughter right now. How old? She's finished her freshman year.
Okay.
She played varsity minutes. She's good. She has a chance. She's working hard. Look, she shoots with me, and there's another person that comes and helps work her out. And yeah, so I'm getting that side of things as a parent. It's not always easy, awesome, but it's fun. But I agree. Kids, they got their time in, and they have to love it. Yeah, like they need to enjoy it. If they don't, it was never hard work for me. It was never like, don't get me wrong, there it is. Like, oh, I don't want to go to the gym, but it was never like, oh my gosh, basketball again. Loved it, wanted to do it. And my guy was Jonathan Kais.
Yeah.
That was my guy. Yeah. 6 in the morning, we're at the gym in the summer.
Wow.
We go work our 8-hour summer jobs. We come back at night from 5 to 7 and shoot shots. Jonathan Kais, that's my guy. Unbelievable.
Coach, we had an episode on mental health, and we kind of opened up. Jaycee talked about his experience being overseas, away from home, and having those moments of just kind of feeling like alone. Mine was my near-death experience in December of last year because I was just tired of life. Like, as a coach, have you had those low, like, valleys as a coach where you just thought, I don't want to do this anymore? Like, and how did you get through it? What did you do to get through it?
Yeah, I think anybody out there that doesn't think they have some sort of mental health, I think they're probably lying to themselves, right? I think we all struggle every day with something.
Yeah.
I think you got to work through those things, right? I think ultimately you got to try to be the best version of yourself. We're all different, right? The three of us here on this podcast, we're having fun tonight, but your schedule's different than mine. Your family dynamics are different. I think you got to figure out, who you want to be, who do you want to represent, where you're trying to go. I try to read. Meditation. I think sometimes you get, things are happening so fast for me right now that today I did 2 workouts. I said, I got to start running 4 to 5 miles. I'm looking at myself. I'm not fitting in my clothes. I don't want to do this anymore. I mean, I got to look the part, right? So that's mental health to me, right? Yeah, not physically fit. You're not reading. You're not podcasting. Those are things that can break you down. So I think you got to challenge yourself too, right? I think you got to come up with a personal challenge of what you want to do, right? Like I've always challenged myself to be, the most prepared coach in this league every single day, not on game day, right? So I want our players, when our players play this game in the Spectrum, right? You guys don't see all the hours and all the skill work and all the weights. Jaycee went through it. I want our fans to be very proud of that, right? So if I'm not in a good mind frame every day, I'm going to rub off on our team, right? So I want to come in with a good positive attitude. I want to have a good relationship. And I think that really starts with yourself. You got to know yourself, and you got to constantly, have maintenance on yourself because you can break down.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
That's an incredible answer. Because, Fish talked to us about, like, his struggles. Like, he was at Oregon.
Yeah, Fish and I've talked a lot about
got beat up there mentally. And he said coming here was the biggest blessing for him because he felt like coaches understood him. And he talked about you. And as Jaycee mentioned earlier, like, he spoke very highly about you off the bat. Because
I love Fish. I think the world of Fish. I think he's going to thrive in our system. I mean, he's going to have some ups and downs. We all go through it. But what I have realized in this, we're together 320 days. So if you're coming into the office every day and you're looking at your coach and you're like, oh, I don't want to talk to that guy, or this guy drives me nuts with whatever he does on the court, I want guys that want to play for me, right? I got to be demanding. I got to, hold them accountable. We got to have a scorer every day. We got to have a winner and a loser. We got to create competition. But when practice is over, and even on the court, we're going to have fun. Life's about living, right? So at the end of the day, we're only here so long, right? So however long I'm here, I want to have a great relationship. So I don't tell people no to speaking engagements. I don't have any sort of ego. I think humility is a big part of life. And I've always just had that, even with my staff. So this is kind of, I think, how you should be.
I know we got just a few minutes left. You've been so gracious with your time tonight. We appreciate it a lot.
Guys, I don't really want to go back to the Airbnb, so we can do that. So
Well, I got to ask you.
you know, I can only spend so many days with Coach Molinari. It's 25 years with the guys.
Hey, best player you coached and best player you coached against.
Best player I've ever coached, LeBron James. Coached him at AAU. Coached him at the USA Developmental Festival.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Did you just casually just tell me you coach with LeBron James and AA?
LeBron James. So through Maverick. Funny part, I didn't tell you how many games I coached. I coached from one game.
Oh, we need him for one game. I think you coached him.
He only decided to play one game with us, but by far LeBron, coaching wise, but too many to name. You know, like there's so many good players. I would be discrediting some of those guys.
Yeah.
Coached against, you're saying?
Yeah.
I tell you, guard. I mean, we coached against all those Big East guys and Duke guys, Kentucky guys, Cousins with John Wall, all those guys. The one that I, to this day, have a really good relationship with, and JC, you'll probably know this guy, is a guy named Norris Cole. So Norris Cole, good story. So he had no Division I offers in the state of Ohio. We have 13 schools in Ohio. I offered him a scholarship, ends up getting drafted, doesn't come with me, goes to Cleveland State, goes 28 to the Miami Heat. Pat Riley picked him, wins 2 championships. He's been playing overseas for years. Probably the best player, one of the best players I ever coached against, because just played so much bigger in his size. But
Do you have the crop top?
yes,
Okay, I know.
40, 20, and 10 in a game. He was phenomenal, Paul.
That's impressive.
Good player. Good player.
So, yeah, he did. I'm trying to think. I think he was at Maccabi Tel Aviv.
You might have played against him.
Yeah, I played against him. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, good kid. For some reason, I have in my mind Maccabi Tel Aviv.
I think it was.
It just it's just unfortunate for him that I always play good against Maccabi. I always play good against them. But yeah, so I know exactly what you're talking about. That's very cool. He's a good guy, good kid.
Yeah, really good player.
You're looking for the best place to grab yourself a pizza and, of course, entertainment? Look no further than Ruby's Pizzeria and Grill at 795 East, 1400 North. Ruby's Pizzeria and Grill has your salads, delicious pastas, creative pizzas, all that including watching some good games on TV with your buddies. Ruby's Pizzeria and Grill also has a Thursday through Saturday 9 p.m. to midnight menu. That's right, 9 p.m. to midnight, Thursday through Saturday, you get the delectable items. Our producer, Adam Lurcher, and myself went there. Well, Adam had the chicken fingers. I had this beautifully made gourmet hot dog with a delicious pretzel bun wrapped around it. Most importantly, Ruby's Pizzeria and Grill has the best customer service. Their employees are there to take good care of you, led by their manager, Thad Willis. So stop by Ruby's Pizzeria and Grill and let them know that the Unequaled podcast sent you there. 795 East, 1400 North in Logan.
Best win, most heartbreaking loss.
Oh, wow. Head coach, assistant coach, what are we talking?
Whatever you want. What was that?
I'll give you 2. So assistant coach, for sure, beating, two of them as an assistant. Winning the Big East tournament, Madison Square Garden. There's nothing like that tournament. You walk in, Bill Clinton at the time, the president.
Oh, yeah.
Denzel Washington, Spike Lee. I'm talking 9 teams, guys, in the NCAA tournament. Syracuse, Villanova, Louisville, West Virginia. I mean, it was incredible.
What was your seed in the tournament? You remember?
We were pretty good. I think we were the 2 seed. We beat Georgetown to win it. And then I would say this, the other win as an assistant was we beat Kentucky to go to the Final Four. Worst loss by far was the Division II National Championship. Ben McCollum, he's now the head coach at Drake. He won 4 national championships at D2. He'll tell you this, too, that we were probably favored to win that game. We had a guy that ended up going to Russia, and now he's in Japan making about $500,000 a year from Division II.
Yeah.
Then we had the D2 National Player of the Year. I think they upset us. He said they beat us. We lost 5-9. But that one haunts me to this day because I wanted to be a national champion that year. Probably hasn't been a day that goes by, I don't think, but I think.
Yeah. That's good. And I think, yes, but your favorite, the Big East tournament, do you have a favorite? Was that a favorite moment?
I would say, Big East, Final Four. As a head coach, I would say probably Youngstown State winning the regular season title, first time in school history. Last game of the year, we didn't make it real easy. Had to win the last game of the year, couldn't buy a basket, played terrible, played tight. Probably my doing, I don't know, but ended up winning it and winning the first time ever in school history regular season title. It's a pretty big deal there. So
Best club hugging story.
probably seeing him console Deshaun Butler.
We was on the floor.
The Final Four, yeah. And then another really good one was You guys remember this game, Jaycee? You were playing. It was UConn and Syracuse in the Garden, 6 OTMs. So we played Syracuse the next night. We left at overtime 4. We had a staff meeting. We stayed up till probably 6 in the morning watching Syracuse 2-3 zone.
Yeah.
I don't know what we were doing. We would sometimes work, really hard, maybe not smart. So we're walking into the Garden the next night, and Julie Boeheim's walking in. You go through a freight elevator at Madison Square Garden, and Coach Huggins said, "Oh, I'm sure Jim was up watching film, to the wee hours after the game." And she said, "No, Bobby actually went right to bed." And we ended up losing that night too. So watch all that tape for about that. We all just looked at each other. But a lot of great memories with Coach, and another guy that deserves a lot of credit is my high school coach, a guy named Ted Kwasniak. I lived with him my senior year. I lived so far away from the school. He basically adopted me my senior year. And then another guy named Jeff Young, that's one of the winningest D2 coaches at Walsh University. Phenomenal person. One of the best skill development guys I've ever seen. So a lot of guys have influenced.
That's awesome. Ajay, we got anything else that we need to ask?
This guy's incredible.
Oh, well, until I lose my first couple games. So, Ajay, I'm going to leave you with this. So, they had some of the coaches. So, the volleyball coach, Coach Anderson, we had to play at a golf event 2 days ago. It was 42 degrees. Oh, we're out there in North. I golfed in 2 years, so it's not real pretty. So, after the first couple shots, I told these 3 guys, I said, well, guys, one thing, they start bashing me if I lose too many games. One thing's for sure, they can't say I play too much golf, because you guys got to see how bad this swing.
Most intimidating road atmosphere you were at?
Ooh, that's a good one. When Rick Pitino was at Louisville, we used to go in there. Hostile environment. The Dome in Syracuse, really good. Villanova, when you played right on campus, I thought that was really pretty good. A lot of those Big East schools are really good.
You're gonna enjoy that. You're gonna enjoy the Spectrum.
Fire is the best.
Stand room only. It is loud as it gets.
Well,
you can't hear the headset. It's incredible.
How many games, Jaycee, do you go? Do you go to all the games? Or obviously, you get your family, but
yeah. So honestly, I'm able to make it to 4 or 5 games, and it's simply because I'm at high school games with my daughter.
Yeah.
My wife is the cheer coach at Louisville High School, so we're supporting her.
Yeah.
And but Utah State's been good with me with the few games I am. This guy over here lends me his tickets every once in a while. But we're making a more conscious effort to get up there and watch more games.
Well, guys, I appreciate you guys having me on. This has been fun. And if we want to do episode 3 and 4, we can do it.
Oh, man.
We can do it at a later time.
We'll maybe hit you up after we get some, after the June 17th starts rolling, we start to get some of these players and get some prices. We'll maybe say, hey, give us a skip. Let us know.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Coach, we look forward. Just the way you support the community and the way the community is going to welcome you. And when I talked to Jaycee the other day, he said he had met with you and had nothing but great things to say. And if that's coming from an Aggie Hall of Famer, one of the best to ever do it, you're doing something right already, Coach.
Is this the best or one of the best?
Let's just
start out.
Just going on a high note.
Yeah.
You want to end that on
it's one of the best. You guys, this podcast. I would say that.
No. There you go. I like his answer. Even Coach Morrill, he'd get asked that sometimes. Like, who's the best player? We asked you, kind of, who's the best player you've ever coached? And he gives a good answer. And he's always very specific. Like, he goes, the best offensive player I ever coached was Jason Terra. I know he has other guys he loves.
Really, because when I asked him that question, he said, "What are you going to be stirring the pot all the time? Why can't you just, Coach, thank you again. You're one of the just so excited to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This was awesome.
For Jaycee Carroll, I'm Audie South. Big thanks to Coach Calhoun. You've been listening to the Unequaled podcast.
Oh, mama, what a tune could get me to feel this way. I think I'll be coming home. It's been such a long time. Oh, I think I might have made one too many a mistake. If you help me find my way, I promise I'll do the same one day. we have the